Discover the heartwarming moment a nanny transformed the lives of a CEO's twins in just 1 week. Jessica's pulse quickened as she walked into the mansion, a world apart from her modest apartment. Manicured lawns stretched endlessly, framed by giant oaks swaying with privilege. She could felt small, just another single mom in a sea of affluence. But her twins, spirited Charlie and Emma, had counted on her, and she had already dreamed about making every moment count. Here, she would be their beacon, amid the cold calculations of their father, CEO Mark. But how do you connect with kids who've seen more glossy magazine covers than bedtime stories? During that first week, Jessica faced Charlie's skeptical glares and Emma's stony silence. The weight of their father's looming success felt heavy on their hearts. Yet, on her first try, as she pulled out paints and brushes, Emma's eyes flickered with life. Suddenly, the vibrant colors pulled at her heartstrings. At that moment, Jessica didn't just see a little girl, but an artist yearning to break free. She watched, entranced, as Emma created a masterpiece, her delicate strokes mimicking the joy Jessica longed to bring. Then there was Charlie, dribbling a soccer ball against the hallway wall, frustration evident. "Why should I play?" he grunted. Jessica pondered, then smirked. "How about a challenge? I bet I can score 3 goals at the park before you can." His eyes lit up, the spark of competition breaking through his wall of doubt. They raced to the park, laughter mingling with the cheers of the local kids, igniting their spirits in ways no money could buy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when joy surged in the twins' hearts, conflict crashed down like thunderstorms over the park they adored. News flashed that corporate development threatened to close their sanctuary, turning delightful laughter into sadness. Jessica's heart raced. She couldn't let this happen. She used her quiet strength to rally the community, a small but fierce team of parents and kids ignited by her passion. "We can't let the park be stolen from our hands," she shouted, and from their eyes, she saw hope blossom. Then she learned Mark had dismissed their plans outright, his gaze so cold it made her shudder. He was moving forward without concern for the lives that could be crushed underneath his ambition. She felt the weight of his rejection, but stood her ground. The town hall meeting loomed, and with it the chance to speak out. But would they listen? With her heart thumping like a drum, she prepared to take the stage. As she stood there, gathered voices hushed, her heart pounding. She felt every pair of eyes watching. Would they see her for who she truly was? Could she unite the community, reclaim the park, and teach the twins what connection truly felt like? The moment hung in the air, teetering between desperation and excitement. Together, with those children by her side, she was ready to fight for not just a park, but for the her family she had always dreamed of having. Jessica stood at the front of the crowded town hall, her palms clammy and her breath quickened, but this time she was ready. She scanned the room, taking in the faces of parents and kids who shared her dream of preserving the park as sanctuary stitched together by laughter and memories. The murmurs faded away, replaced by an anxious silence, each pair of eyes expectantly waiting for her to speak. "Thank you all for being here today. I know we're up against a powerful corporation." Her voice wavered for a moment, but she took a breath, feeling Charlie squeeze her hand, and continued. "This park isn't just a piece of land. It's where our children take their first steps, learn to ride their bikes, and make memories." Jessica's heart soared as she spoke. The vibration of community was stronger than ever, and she hoped it reached all the way to the man whose decisions threatened their joy. As she spoke, she saw Emma's eyes glisten. Each word brought a flicker of life back to her face, and Jessica knew she was not just fighting for a park, but for the very spirit of the twins, wanting them to feel the warmth of connection. But then, from the back of the hall, Mark stepped forward. His presence loomed large, a contrast to the emotions in the air. "This is a necessary step for our growth," he said, his tone cool and detached as he glanced around. "Nothing personal, just business." Each word dripped with the weight of indifference. Jessica felt a mix of anger and disappointment wash over her. Why couldn't he see the bigger picture? But what about the community? She shot back, heart racing. Your decisions impact real lives, our children's lives. The words hung in the air, puncturing his corporate shield, if only for a moment. The murmurs rose again, a tide of agreement swelling from parents who had also been touched by Jessica's bravery. He doesn't get it. Someone shouted from the crowd. Empowered by their voices, Jessica pressed on. This isn't just about numbers or profits. It's about creating a place where our children can grow without fear. The intensity in the room shifted as emotions ran high. It was a moment none would soon forget. Mark's expression darkened. He seemed unfazed but flinched slightly, betraying a crack in his armor. I'll consider your words, he said stiffly, the facade of control wobbly. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Jessica returned to the twins, a mix of exhilaration and uncertainty dancing through her. What happens next? Charlie asked, his voice barely above a whisper, breaking through her mental fog. I don't know, Jessica admitted, but we won today. We showed them we care, that we won back down. And that means everything. Emma beamed, her spirit reignited. Can we go back to the park tomorrow? She asked. The hope in her voice was contagious. Absolutely, Jessica smiled, fixing her gaze on them, pledging in her heart to keep fighting. She walked them through the crowd outside, holding their hands, feeling their connection deepen with each step. But as they emerged into the dimming light of the evening, a thought struck Jessica. Mark might be willing to negotiate, but would his ambitions still overshadow their cries for help? And would the twins learn to find their own strength in it all? The fight was far from over. Would Jessica have the power to inspire change, not just for the park, but within the family caught in the crossfire of ambition and love? As the night fell, a stubborn flame of determination flickered in her heart, ready to illuminate the path ahead. What would be her next move in this high-stakes game? The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the park as Jessica led Charlie and Emma toward their cherished playground. Each step felt heavy with both hope and the weight of what lay ahead. The memory of the town hall meeting lingered, its echoes bouncing around her mind like a restless child. She couldn't shake the feeling that this fight was far larger than just preserving a piece of land. It was about the heart of their community. As they stepped into the park, Emma darted toward the swings, her laughter spilling into the air. Charlie, with his hands stuffed in pockets, wandered closer to the slide, his cautious nature always a whisper against Emma's exuberance. Jessica watched them closely, her heart swelling but a knot of worry tightening in her stomach. With every passing day, the stakes grew higher. What if he changes his mind? Charlie asked, his brow furrowed as he kicked at the grass beneath him, an attempt to uncover the truth hidden beneath the surface. I don't think he will, Jessica replied, steadying her voice. But even if he did, we'll be ready. It's not just him anymore. It's everyone who cares about this park. Do you really believe that? Charlie's gaze drifted to Emma, who was now swinging as high as her little legs would carry her. Absolutely, she nodded, a surge of determination welling up from within. It was moments like these that first ignited her passion, the simple joys flickering like candles in the dark world of corporate greed. As Charlie ruminated quietly, Jessica turned her attention to the trees swaying lightly with the evening breeze. She was reminded of the conversations she had with the other parents after the meeting. They stood strong together, united by shared stories of their children's laughter and memories made beneath those very branches. She needed to bring that energy back, to light a fire in the hearts of her neighbors. Tomorrow I'll organize a get-together. We can share more ideas, make a plan, she announced, a grin breaking across her face at the thought. Can we play games too? Emma shouted from the swings, her enthusiasm spilling over. Of course, we'll make it a celebration. Jessica laughed, imagining balloons and bright decorations. As they ventured deeper into the park, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers. A couple of parents waved as they jogged by, their smiles infectious and energizing. But in the back of her mind, a fear simmered. Mark was no ordinary opponent. He was smart, calculated, and not unfamiliar with bringing down obstacles in his path. Navigating the next steps meant more than just gathering support. It was about crafting a message that would resonate with his logical mind. She'd need to be strategic, but first, she needed to prepare. Later that night, Jessica sat at the kitchen table, her laptop open and papers scattered around her. She began writing an email to the other parents. "Let South turn this park into a symbol of resilience," she typed with fervor. "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're showing our kids the importance of standing up for what's right." Each word felt cathartic, almost as if she was whispering secrets to the universe, secrets of hope and strength. But just as she hit send, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number made her heart race. "Meet me tomorrow at the diner at noon. I have information that could change everything." Jessica stared at the screen, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through her. What did this stranger know? Was it about Mark's plans, or something more personal? "Do I take the risk?" she pondered, her mind swirling with possibilities. Whatever the answer, she had to find out, even if it meant diving a little deeper into the storm of uncertainty. As the night enveloped the world outside, she took a deep breath. Change was coming, and she felt the pulse of the community behind her, ready to rise. Would tomorrow's meeting reveal secrets that could tip the scales in her favor, or would it only deepen the conflict? Jessica woke up the next morning with the sunlight slipping through the curtains, warm and inviting. The promise of a new day hummed in the air, but it couldn't shake the heaviness of last night's text from her mind. Every tick of the clock felt louder than usual as she prepared breakfast for Charlie and Emma. She flipped pancakes, focusing more on the scent of syrup than the anxious thoughts swirling around her. "Mommy, look," Emma called out, her voice ringing with excitement as she stacked her pancakes into a tower. Watching her little girl's joy made Jessica smile, if only for a moment. But then, Charlie's frown broke through her moment of bliss. "What if the information is bad? What if it makes it worse?" he asked, his youthful face twisted with worry. Jessica knelt beside him, cupping his chin gently. "We can't know unless we go. We have to be brave, right? Just like we talked about." Yet Charlie's voice was soft, but Jessica could see a flicker of understanding in his eyes. It was important to her children, to show them that standing up for what was right took courage. It wasn't just about the park, it was about fighting for something bigger, something that connected their entire community. As she scrambled to ready everyone for the day, Jessica's mind raced through the potential implications of what she might learn at the diner. What secrets lay beneath Mark's polished facade? The more she thought, the more it felt like she was stepping into the lion's den by noon. She arrived at the diner, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. The neon sign buzzed above her, and the familiar scent of coffee and fried food comforted her momentarily. She scanned the room, heart hammering in her chest. It was busy, filled with the usual lunch crowd, but her focus was on the booth in the far corner. A figure sat there, looking expectant. He was older, with a beard and glasses. Just as Jessica approached, he looked up, his eyes sharp and knowing. "Jessica, right?" he said, gesturing for her to sit. "Yes," she replied, slipping into the booth. A knot tightened in her stomach as she tried to read the man's expression. "You said you had information?" He leaned in closer, his voice low. "I've been following the park issue, and I know Mark's plans. He has some tricks up his sleeve that could shake things up." Jessica's breath caught. "What kind of tricks?" "Let us just say he doesn't want to just build a building. He has connections that could bring in some major financial backing." Her mind reeled. Could this really be happening? This wasn't just about the park. This was about her community's heart. "But why tell me?" she asked, the suspicion sharpening her tone. The man paused, his gaze flickering toward the bustling diners, then back to her. "Because I believe in community. I used to live here, and I've seen what's at stake. If you want the truth, you'll need to be prepared for a fight, Jessica. Mark won't go down without a fight." Suddenly, a vision of her children playing in the park filled her mind, laughter echoing like music. Feeling a resolve wash over her, she nodded. "Whatever it takes, we can't let him win." Just then, the bell above the diner's door jingled, and Jessica turned to see a familiar face walk in. It was Maria, one of the main organizers she'd connected with after the town hall meeting. Their eyes met, and Jessica's heart raced. What is she doing here? She thought, fear battling with excitement. If Maria was here, surely it meant the community was rallying to her side. As they exchanged knowing glances, Jessica felt a surge of hope. But a part of her wondered, was this new information a blessing or just another layer of danger looming ahead? With nerves still tingling, Jessica prepared to share the news about Mark, the plans they'd need to strategize against. But she couldn't shake the feeling that this battle was just beginning. Would the community rally together, or would fear keep them apart? Her thoughts raced as she and Maria joined forces. The stakes had never been higher, and the moment of truth was fast approaching. Maria slid into the booth across from Jessica, her expression a mix of determination and curiosity. "What did I miss?" she asked, her voice steady, yet laced with urgency. Jessica instantly felt connected to Maria, the tension easing just a little. "I met someone. He has information about Mark's plans," Jessica whispered, glancing around to ensure no one was eavesdropping. "He mentioned financial backing, big money behind the project." Maria's eyes widened. "That is huge. But, do you trust him?" Jessica hesitated. Trust was a fragile thing in these times. "I don't know. But we need to get a strategy in place, and fast." As they strategized, the din of the diner seemed to fade into a distant hum. Jessica felt a rush of purpose as she and Maria sketched out a plan to engage the community, rallying support against Mark's looming threat. Each idea sparked more enthusiasm: a bake sale, a community meeting, flyers to spread awareness. "Together we can make our voices heard," Maria declared, her eyes sparkling with conviction. Jessica felt hope pulsing in her chest like a bright beacon, guiding her through the uncertainty ahead. Just then, a loud argument erupted from the far end of the diner. Jessica turned to see a couple in a heated exchange, their faces flushed with anger. The clatter of dishes and raised voices broke through the atmosphere they had been building, grounding Jessica back in reality. "People are on edge, Maria," Jessica noted, anxiety creeping back in. "If we don't act soon, it might be too late." Maria nodded, chewing on her lip briefly. "Maybe we should take it to the streets. Get the buzz going outside the diner, connect with people at the park." "Good idea," Jessica replied, her heart racing at the thought of facing the crowd, but she knew it was necessary. Suddenly, the bell above the door jingled again, and Jessica felt her breath hitch. Mark stepped inside, his presence commanding and confident. He greeted a few patrons with a charming smile, but Jessica could sense an undercurrent of menace behind it. "Speak of the devil," Maria murmured, tilting her chin in Mark's direction. Jessica clenched her fists, anger bubbling up. There he was, the man responsible for the chaos in their lives. Just his presence sent a tremor of fear rippling through her. "We can't let him intimidate us," she whispered fiercely, her resolve firming again. Maria's eyes narrowed. "This makes it more urgent. We need to expose him, show the community what he's really up to." Jessica felt adrenaline surge through her veins at the idea. "Let's do it," she said, her voice steadier now. "We can create a social media page, post updates, even stream live from community meetings." As they hashed out their plan, the situation outside the diner felt electric. Jessica could feel the community stirring. If they could harness that energy, they could fight back. Meanwhile, Mark was oblivious, laughing with a few friends at the bar, just another day for him. Did he even realize the storm brewing around him? With a sense of purpose igniting her every move, Jessica shot a determined glance at Maria. "We're going to show our community that standing together can bring change." They both stood, ready to leave. Jessica felt a sense of urgency. Every moment brought new stakes, new chances to turn the tides in their favor. As they stepped outside, the sharp autumn air hit her like a wave, awakening all her senses. The chatter of people filled the streets, the sound of laughter intertwined with concern over the park. A determined smile broke across her face. But even as hope surged, a question hung in the back of her mind: could they really inspire enough people to rise against Mark? Or would the weight of his influence keep their community silenced? With that doubt lurking, Jessica felt more determined than ever. The battle was just beginning, and she was ready to fan the flames. What would it take to rally the community? Could fear be transformed into action? Feeling invigorated, Jessica and Maria stepped into the bustling street outside the diner. The golden leaves fluttered down from the trees, swirling around their feet like confetti. Jessica looked around, heart pounding. It felt like the calm before a storm. You could see people drifting in and out of shops. Laughter was mixed with whispered anxieties. "Let's south head to the park," Maria suggested, a mixture of eagerness and nervousness dancing in her eyes. If we can catch people on their way home, we might get them to listen. They walked with purpose, shoulders squared against whatever might come next. The park was just a few blocks away, and as they approached, a sense of possibility wrapped around them like a warm blanket. The park was always a gathering place, and today was no different. It buzzed with families, joggers, and folks walking dogs. "Okay, we need to think about our message," Jessica said, pausing for a moment to catch her breath. "What do we say to them?" "I think we highlight how this affects everyone," Maria replied, her voice animated. "The park, the schools, the entire community. If they take this over, we lose our home." Jessica nodded, that sinking feeling hitting her heart again. "Right. This is about preserving what we cherish." They found a spot on a low wall near the playground, and the two friends surveyed the families playing in the park. Kids ran in circles, giggling, while parents chatted away. Jessica knew they had to reach these people. "Let us go," Maria said suddenly, determination in her gaze. She hopped off the wall, grabbing Jessica's hand as they approached a small group sitting on a blanket. "Excuse us," Maria began, her voice steady. "Can we talk to you for a minute?" At first, the group looked skeptical. But as Jessica spoke, describing their concerns about Mark and his plans, Jessica felt the apprehension in the air shift. Eyes softened, concerned whispers rose. "It's not just about one project," Jessica continued, energy fueling her words. "It's about preserving our community, our parks. We want to protect what we all love." After a moment, an elderly lady spoke up, her voice warm but shaky. "I've been worried about that man. It feels like he's taking over everything." "Exactly," Maria chimed in, her eyes lighting up with hope. "We need to work together. Organizing could change everything. And the more voices we have, the stronger we'll be." As more people began to gather, Jessica's heart swelled with newfound hope. It was like a chain reaction. The more they talked, the more people listened. From mothers with strollers to young adults juggling homework with jobs, a crowd began to form around them, all nodding, sharing stories and concerns. Jessica felt the raw connection, the shared emotion of a community rallying against a common threat. It hit her in waves, undeniable. Every shared concern, every hand raised in agreement brought them closer together. Suddenly, a voice broke through the crowd. "What do we need to do?" a young father asked, urgency painted across his face. "You can help us spread the word," Maria replied, excitement bubbling up. "Come to our meeting next week. Bring friends, family. Let us start a movement." Inspired and hopeful, Jessica exchanged a glance with Maria, feeling a rush of strength. This could spark something big. Just as they were finishing their pitch, Jessica caught a glimpse of the man himself, Mark, looming at the entrance of the park, arms crossed, a smug expression plastered on his face. Jessica's heart stopped, adrenaline surging again. "Stay strong," Maria whispered, sensing her unease. But how could they stand against him? Fear began to creep back in. "I won't let him scare us," Jessica said to herself, grappling with her emotions. As Mark approached, the crowd's energy shifted from enthusiasm to uncertainty. Jessica locked eyes with Maria, and in that moment, both understood something unspoken. They were standing on the edge of something monumental. Could they really rally enough support to stop the man who seemed unstoppable? Would they be able to harness this newfound energy before it was too late? With that question hanging thick in the air, Jessica steeled herself for the challenge ahead. Mark's presence sent a chill through the crowd. People shifted uneasily, and the laughter that had filled the park moments before faded into a tense hush. Jessica felt her palms grow clammy as her stomach churned. "Keep it together," she whispered to herself, forcing her eyes back to the group. She rallied her thoughts, trying to pull together the energy that had just been blooming. Maria stood beside her, mouth set in a determined line, but worry flickered in her eyes. "Folks, we were just telling everyone how important it is to protect our community," she said, stepping forward a bit. "We all love this park, right?" Murmurs of agreement stirred the crowd, and the elderly lady from before nodded vigorously. "Yes, I come here every day to watch my grandchildren play." As if inspired, a young mother chimed in. "It's where we celebrate birthdays. This place means everything to us." Jessica felt a spark ignite. They had something powerful growing here, something that could rival Mark's steel grip on their town. But Mark was edging closer, his expression a mix of amusement and intimidation. Look at you all, he called out, his voice dripping with sarcasm. A lovely little meet-up, isn't it? Planning a picnic or a protest? Panic shot through Jessica, but she clung to the warmth of the community gathered around her. We're not afraid of a little confrontation, she shouted, her voice trembling but strong. We stand for what matters. Several voices from the crowd echoed her, and for a moment, it felt as if they were all pushing back against Mark's looming shadow. I've seen changes in this town, an older man spoke up, defending their cause. Big projects aren't always better for the community. They just line pockets. Exactly, Maria exclaimed, stepping in. We need more green spaces, not concrete jungles. Mark rolled his eyes, but even he seemed taken aback by the unexpected resistance. The crowd was growing bolder, faces brightening with the shared energy. Listen up. Jessica raised her voice again, feeling the adrenaline surging through her. We have a chance to make our voices heard. We're meeting next week to plan, and we want all of you to join us. This park isn't just a patch of grass. It's our home. Some in the crowd cheered. A wave of encouragement swept through them, and even Jessica felt the weight of her fear lighten. Mark's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of anger. You think this is going to change anything? You're wasting your time, he sneered. Though his voice lacked conviction, Jessica stood tall. We're not backing down. We believe in our community, and together, we will fight to keep what's ours. With her heart racing, she met Mark's gaze and held it. It felt like a duel of minds, a clash of wills. But before Mark could respond, several more community members stepped forward. Their resolve had solidified, and they echoed Jessica's sentiments. We've seen enough. Let us protect what we love, a college student shouted. Suddenly, a child broke through the crowd, tugging at his mother's hand. Mommy, can we save the park too? The innocent question unlocked something in the group. One by one, people began to step closer, their voices entwining to form a chorus of determination. Jessica's heart swelled. Maybe this was more than just a fleeting moment. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something significant. As the atmosphere thickened with unity, Jessica felt a warm surge of hope. But just as she thought they were gaining ground, she saw Mark pull out his phone, a glint of mischief sparking in his eyes. Jessica's stomach twisted with dread. What was he planning now? Would he fight back with tactics even more severe than she expected? The sense of urgency pressed down on her like a vice. They couldn't let him ruin this moment. Everyone, keep calm, she urged, but inside she felt the pressure mounting. What could they do if Mark was prepared to strike back? Would the community hold firm against whatever he had in store? With the fight only just beginning and uncertainty hanging like a fog, Jessica knew they had to be ready for whatever came next. A low murmur rippled through the crowd as Mark obviously savored the moment. He had that smug smile on his face, the one that made Jessica's blood boil. She could almost feel the collective anxiety of the crowd, a mix of determination and fear. What could he possibly be planning? Everybody, just keep talking, Jessica called, her voice slicing through the tension. Don't let him derail us. The crowd began to chatter again, a wave of voices growing around her. Maria took the lead, starting a chant, "Save the park! Save the park!" The rhythm gathered momentum, bouncing between families and friends, each repetition fueling hope. It was electric, an echo of what they believed in. Mark stood at the edge of the gathering, his finger poised over the screen of his phone, just a few taps away from pulling something they didn't see coming. Jessica's heart raced as she glanced at the faces of her neighbors. They were fueled with spirit, united under a common cause. This was their home too, their sanctuary. "Hey, Mark," a voice shouted from the front. It was the elderly lady from earlier. "You can't buy this place. It belongs to us." "Yeah," shouted a teenager who'd been at the back. "You don't know what it means to us." The anger in their voices reverberated through the air, stoking the fire in Jessica's heart. She turned to face Mark head-on. "You might think you can just take this away, but we won't let you." For a second, Mark faltered, and Jessica saw the uncertainty flicker in his eyes. It was just for a moment, but it was there, a crack in his facade. He took a deep breath, recovering quickly as he swapped intimidation for mockery. "Such passion," he retorted, amusement dancing in his tone. "But do you really think a bunch of noise will stop progress? You're just a distraction." A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. Mark's words hung heavily in the air. Jessica felt the weight pressing down on her. Would they really be just a distraction? But then, a little girl squeezed her way to the front, clutching a homemade sign that read, "This park is our happy place." She beamed up at the group with wide, innocent eyes. Jessica couldn't shake the warmth of that smile. A small child with a simple sign expressed everything they were feeling. "Look at her," Jessica said, her voice softening. "Look at what we're fighting for. It's not just a park. It's memories. It's lives lived out here. We can't let someone who doesn't care about our community come in and destroy it." The crowd erupted again, voices booming in unison as hope sparkled in their eyes. Jessica felt a confidence swell within her, igniting a fight she hadn't fully realized she had. But then, Mark stepped back slightly, making a call on his phone. Panic shot through Jessica like ice water. What was he going to do? The good cheer they built threatened to crumble under the weight of his influence. "Everyone, we need a strategy," she shouted, desperate to redirect the energy bubbling within the crowd. "Let us meet tonight, share ideas. We'll create a plan, and he can't silence us if we stick together." "Yes," came the roaring chorus, as heads nodded in agreement. But as Jessica spoke, she couldn't shake the gnawing uncertainty that crawled down her spine. Would they be enough to stand up against him if he had his way? Just then, a group of kids nearby began to chant, "Save our park! Save our park!" Their innocence translated a message of resilience. Echoing back in urgency, she felt deep within. But what if it wasn't enough? As the cheers filled the air, Jessica felt another wave of dread wash over her. Mark's voice crackled through her worries like a thunderstorm over a sunny day. What was he planning? Would they be strong enough? And what would be his next move? With the fight on the brink of a new chapter, Jessica knew they had to brace themselves for whatever storm Mark would unleash next. Jessica's mind raced as she scanned the crowd, looking for support and strength. Was everyone really ready to keep fighting? They gathered firewood for a campfire, tossing it on the pile of 1,000 memories. This park had witnessed laughter, growth, and love, all wrapped in a blanket of greenery. But now, uncertainty simmered in the air like the muggy breeze around them. She heard the teens chatting, trading ideas about what to do next. One of them suggested making signs for a protest. Another piped up about starting a social media campaign. Ideas floated around like dandelion seeds carried by the wind. Jessica felt an ember stir in her chest. Yes, they could rally against Mark. They could fight not just for the park, but for the community and all the people who called it home. "Let us make it an event," Maria said, her eyes alight with inspiration. "A community day? We can bring everyone together to show what this park means to us." The idea sparked excitement. They shared past stories, birthdays, playdates, even quiet moments of peace. Each tale stitched them closer together, weaving bonds of shared connection and determination. Jessica felt her spirit lift. The park wasn't just a piece of land. It was their story, their heritage. But dread washed over her again as she glanced back at Mark. He still stood apart from the crowd, phone in hand, a smirk creeping across his face that made her heart race. It was a face that screamed there was more to come. She had to keep the momentum going. "Let us gather here every week," she shouted, her voice stronger now. "If we can show up for each other, Mark can't ignore us." Cheers erupted, a wave of energy bolstering Jessica's resolve. But a shadow loomed over her thoughts. She couldn't help but wonder would Mark take it lying down. Suddenly, someone bumped into her, snapping her from her reverie. It was an older gentleman, his glasses perched precariously on the edge of his nose. "I thought you might need this," he said, handing her a bullhorn. "Thank you," she said, heart racing with gratitude. She took it and stepped forward, heart pounding with purpose. "Listen up, everyone," she called. "We're coming together next Saturday. We'll make this park the heart of our community again. We'll show Mark that it's not just about space. It's about the lives lived within it." The crowd surged, a swell of voices rising like a tide beneath her words. "Who'sin?" she shouted, and their roaring response sent tingles up her spine. They were unified in their fight. As they met the buzz of excitement swirling with hope, Jessica felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. Each moment spent in this park, with their laughter etched into every nook and cranny, ignited a fierce will to protect it. Yet doubt nudged at her. Each cheer they let out filled her with joy. But what if Mark had something worse in store? Sure enough, she spotted him again, back on his phone. This time, he wasn't alone. A pair of suited men, sharp and foreboding, stood with him, exchanging words that slipped into the darkness wrapped around them. Jessica's chest tightened. What deal was he sealing? Was it more than just money he was throwing around? As the crowd continued their chants and plans, her mind raced with possibilities. She had to know what Mark was planning. So without any hesitation, she made her way toward the back to get a better view, her heart thumping wildly. What if she uncovered information that would ignite their cause even further? She took a deep breath, ready to venture into the unknown, determination propelling her forward. But would she be able to gather the strength not just to fight for the park, but also to stand against whatever dark moves Mark was orchestrating? The answer hung in the air, heavy like the pulse of the crowd behind her. Jessica's heart hammered in her chest as she neared Mark and his companions. Her breath came in short gasps, mixing with the hopes and fears of the crowd rallying behind her. Every step felt charged with urgency. She had to know what was brewing. Mark leaned against a tree, the two suited men flanking him like wolves. "No, we'll make sure they think it's just a community event," he chuckled, his voice dripping with arrogance. They'll never know the full weight of what's coming. Panic seared through Jessica. What was he planning? Was he going to turn their fight into yet another attempt to crush their spirits? Her resolve strengthened as she inched closer, straining to catch every word. A woman's voice broke through the tension as it spread across the park. "Jessica!" Maria shouted, urgency lacing her tone. Suddenly, the sincerity and encouragement from their earlier plans hung hot in the air. Jessica turned, catching sight of a sea of people who believed in their cause, families, children, her twins. She couldn't let the fear consume her. She mustered all her courage. "Listen up, everyone," she shouted, her bold voice echoing across the park. "We have to stand our ground now more than ever. Mark thinks he can take away our heart, but we will show him what true power looks like." The crowd surged, voices rising in a chorus of determination. "Save our park! Save our park!" echoed through the trees, twisting around Jessica like a protective embrace. After a moment, the suited man beside Mark leaned in, whispering something that made Mark's smile fade into a scowl. It was the crack she needed. Taking a deep breath, Jessica pressed on, heart racing anew. "We're organizing a community day next Saturday. Everyone needs to come out, not just to celebrate the park, but to show our unity." The crowd roared louder, fresh waves of energy quickly settling any uncertainty. This wasn't just a park anymore. It was their stand against corporate greed, a rallying point for their voices. Mark opened his mouth to respond, but this time there was not just uncertainty in his eyes but fear. "This isn't the end, Jessica," he snapped, almost desperate. "Then bring it on." Jessica shot back, adrenaline pumping. "We'll take our message to the streets. Our kids' laughter will drown out any corporate ambition." As the crowd erupted in cheers, she turned to Maria, who clutched her shoulders, joy spilling out of her eyes. "Did you see that?" Maria laughed. "We can do this." Suddenly, Charlie and Emma darted through the crowd, their bright smiles lighting up their faces. "Mommy!" Emma squealed, reaching for Jessica. "Can we save the park together?" Tears pricked Jessica's eyes as she knelt down, pulling both twins into a big, warm hug. "Yes, sweethearts. Together, we'll fight for this park itself, our happy place." With newfound strength, she stood, surrounded by her children and a passionate crowd. In this pivotal moment, she felt the collective heartbeat of the community surge. They were ready. The rest of the week passed in a whirlwind of organizing, gathering support from every corner of the community. Each night, they sent emails, made calls, and plastered flyers around town, their determination guiding them through. She felt the warmth of her neighbors' enthusiasm and support fueling her. She was no longer just a nanny to Mark's twins. She had become their advocate and their champion. When Saturday arrived, the park overflowed with families, children giggling and playing in the sunshine. Faces she recognized mingled with new supporters, all united under one mission. The noise of joyous gatherings enveloped her. Food stalls, games, signs filled with love poured over the grass like a bright, rebellious banner of hope. Then, as the day turned to twilight, Jessica took to the mini-stage they'd set up. With the crowd gathered around, she looked out, her heart full. "Today isn't just a festival, it's our stand. We are here because we care about this park and what it means to our children. We won't let anyone take away our joy." Cheers erupted, and Jessica felt her spirit soar. Mark stood at the edge, watching, frustration etched across his features. But even he couldn't ignore the power of the community. As the night fell, and they lit candles that flickered like stars, a collective hope thrummed through the air. Every flickering flame held a promise. They wouldn't back down. They would fight for their home. Together. In that moment, she saw the transformation illuminated by the glow of candles. Hers, the twins, and even Mark's. There was a crack, and perhaps even a chance for change, a chance for connection. Jessica turned to her children, her heart swelling with pride. They weren't just preserving a park. They were part of something bigger, a family, a community. She held both Charlie and Emma close, feeling their warmth. Nothing could compromise that bond. Would Mark step back and truly listen now? Could they truly change his heart? With that thought sparking determination, she gazed at the vibrant expressions of hope around her. Together, they could make a difference. Together, they could rebuild the spirit of both the park and their community. This was only the beginning. Now is the time to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss this inspiring journey. If you crave uplifting stories and community triumphs, leave a like now to boost our reach and spread the positivity. Comment below. We want to hear your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is your chance to be part of the movement.